Welcome, everyone. You're here with Suzanne Roberts, your host for the podcast Purpose for Life. I'm the founder of Unifying Solutions. I'm the author of the book, It's Deeper Than That. And I'm the designer of the Polarity System Design and also the Great Reconnection. And I'm excited to have here with us today Anne Santilli, who is many, many things, but has studied polarity system design with me longer than anyone else. And today we're going to focus on how to look at the mind and the difference between the mind being blank and the mind being more still. I'm not going to say completely still, but what's the difference between those two things? And on this podcast, one of the things that we explore are pathways to greater vibrancy, greater purpose, and liberation. And the mind has a huge, huge role in that for us. When we go back to the battery that we've talked about before in currency, we know that the positive pole in the dynamic flow is meant to be the soul. You can call that the higher self. You could call it spirit. You could call it whatever you want to call it. And then the negative pole, in order for energy to move, is the body or physical form. And like any battery, it needs to have a neutral gradient. Our mind is meant to be the neutral gradient so that the soul informs us in form, so that rather than the mind dictating what happens while we're here, the soul inspires us with, you could say, we call it soul qualities. So, Anne, what is a soul quality you like to think about?
Well, my favorite one is accountability, and it's accountability to the pathway that takes me closer to the connection with myself and with life, the life in all of us. And honesty and loyalty are probably like the other two that I can't not live by.
So, for me, my North Star is curiosity. And what that does for me is it gives me the opportunity to question my mind and not go along with the fickleness of the mind. And the mind is, if the mind is the neutral point between formless and form, or soul and body, or soul and matter, a part of the mind has to stay observing. It has to have awareness. And one of the things that I found fascinating in writing the book, It's Deeper Than That, is that there isn't anywhere in the brain that has a place in the brain matter for attention. There is a place in the brain for focus. So attention has to be something other than what's in our brain or in our mind itself. So we have the capacity to attend in any way we choose. So we can attend in a way that's life-giving, or we can attend in a way that's life-draining, or we can attend in a way that's attuning to our soul qualities of compassion, lack of bias, non-judgment, curiosity, accountability. All those things are ways that we can, I love your word, hold ourselves accountable to allow the deepest part of ourselves to abide and guide us, is what I would say. So when we're talking about the mind being neutral, I want to dispel some things about the mind being neutral. It isn't that the mind is motionless. It has less disturbances in its motion, but it doesn't get motionless. So if you drop a rock in water, it has all those ripples, and then they eventually start to calm down. But there's still waves and movement. The water is not like locked still, right? So it's just not disturbed movement. And when we can focus our attention in a way to observe the mind instead of joining it in its fickleness. And I want to just remind everybody how the mind gets fickle, because I think that's important. The mind gets fickle because it starts looking outward through the senses. The world is fascinating, it's beautiful, it's not beautiful sometimes, but it grabs our attention and makes us look out. And then we have compulsions like attachment to our ideas, attachment to people, attachment to being right versus wrong, or both of them. Actually, we lust after sensation to numb ourselves, whether it's eating or over drinking or whatever it is, just distract us through sensation. And then we have a distortion around what I would call healthy anger, where we can react against someone or react against ourselves. So there can be harm going in or out when we're not healthy and centered in our anger that's generative and gives us a clear direction for life. And then we have greed, which creates unnecessary excess. And greed without connection to the life energy usually produces harm in some kind of way to ourselves or to other people. And then we have our pride, which is our sense of identity, which we have to let go of when we die. And I always talk about, like when we did the episode about currency, that there's a current inside of us that's letting our heart beat, that's letting us live. And we want to have our attention tuned into that for our value, for our worth, for our truth, for our knowing. And there is our wholeness and holiness. And when the mind is stiller and we can observe it, we can listen from the deeper than that, and we can be guided by soul qualities that are so life giving. So the mind, the mind, the mind, the mind. In the polarity system design, the pathway for our whole life is returning the mind towards greater neutrality over and over again, which means we bring greater capacity, we bring greater awareness, and we check our biases. We just don't react. We ask, where did this thought come from? Is this a life giving thought? We have to pause. When we pause, we have spaciousness, which is what creates the stillness, but it's not blank. Blankness is usually dissociation, right?
Yeah, or some kind of numbness. Yeah.
Some kind of numbness. Whereas
Mhm.
when we're actively aware and stillness becomes more possible through spaciousness, it's alive, it's a dynamic. Energy's moving between the poles. So stillness is not sedate. So neutrality is not blank. Neutrality is the spaciousness and the stillness to be able to have enough of a pause to listen and to check what's life giving and what's not life giving. And then we get to, when in that pause, we get to tell our mind the truth about what's true about life, because our mind has a lot of stories about who we are, what we shouldn't be, what we should be, like if we're bad or good or whatever it is. It's got a lot of grooves spinning around there in their own orbits that aren't connected to our wholeness and holiness. And we need to tell our mind the truth about our wholeness and our holiness. And we have to do that in stillness, but not in blankness. And that's really what I came to talk about today, is the difference between stillness and blankness, and that stillness is aliveness. It's a receptivity. It's a spaciousness to listening deeply and being guided from within. And then to reframe your mind by the truth that you are already whole and holy. You belong to this power of life inside of you. You're the only true safety you have is in this life energy, because it will never hurt you. Do you have anything to say about the mind here, Anne?
Yeah, well, if we think about the mind as a kind of a computer program, and it gets programmed when we're young by a lot of things that are external to it, and that shapes how we perceive the world. And it's not necessarily the truth. It comes out of people's perceptions of us or our misperceptions The mind is really a safety valve for us. And so it views almost everything through a lens of safe or not safe. And so from that lens, the world becomes very polar. And there's no middle ground to actually assess because it initiates our nervous system to react. So, as like for myself, as I began meditating and losing the my mind as the controller
Yeah,
and more of the sifter of information. So,
I
like,
love
it
that.
still brings in the information, but I am in a more neutral or curious, to use your, North Star word, about what is that information that it's bringing in. You and I have talked about if I feel worthless, I am going to see 100 examples of my worthlessness in the world.
You'll
If
get
I feel like,
confirmation.
right, if I feel like I'm the bee's knees, as you would say, I'm going to find 100 things confirming that in the world. So, what is different is not the world, it's how my brain is perceiving the inputs that it's getting. And am I being driven from the wisdom up or from like the harm or the hurt down? And that has been for me a big shift in having more, I don't want to say control, but more
Choice, agency.
agency. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, for more agency in who I am in the world and what choices I have. And it's still an everyday thing for me that I have to practice because I have a lot of years of the neural pathways being, set up by different things. So it takes a lot of practice and a commitment to every day try and create new neural pathways that allow wisdom and my soul to lead rather than my trauma or my harm.
I appreciate you saying that. One of the things, because I think your favorite word is accountability, is the
It is.
accountability to check the mind. We
It
have
is.
we have to. And also the other thing I want to say is we need experience to experience the power of the radiant life inside of us, or we won't change our minds. We need our nervous systems regulated, honestly. We need to have stillness so that we can have choice.
Mhm.
Stillness is the space to choose within a dynamic energy. It's not, I'm coming back to the fact that it's not blank. It's dynamic and vibrant
No,
and alive. And the mind is, insipid because there is a reality within the soul that's connected to the eternal ocean of love that has the wisdom in it. It is already there inside of us, and we can true to it. It's there. It's not that it's not there. We're not lacking. And I think that's really important to hear. The
mhm.
abundance is inside. The energy moves eternally inside of us until it leaves the body. It is in constant motion. So the truth about the currency that's part of the eternal ocean of love for all of creation is inside of us all the time. And we can choose to tune to that. That's what I want to say. We don't have to create it. We don't have to create it. We choose it. It's different. And when we align to it, it's us choosing to align to allow it to flow through us.
Right. But like you just said, we have to experience it. Or
Right.
like I don't think I could even believe anything that you were saying until I could feel it inside myself.
Right.
And then I could not believe
That makes it worth it.
it. Hmm.
All right. Well, we're going to wind down for today. I just wanted to touch in for a brief moment about blankness versus stillness, and that stillness is alive and vibrant and pulsing and magnificent, and we have the power to observe and choose in our stillness. We do have awareness. Our soul is aware. It's super aware, and we have that faculty inside of us, and that's very exciting. Don't you think?
I do. Thank you for talking with me about this. It's one of my favorite topics for us.
It is, isn't it?
And I know.
So it's always very exciting and enlivening, and yeah, I feel more radiant and happy, and you look more radiant.
Well, and my brain was fairly neutral through the whole conversation. So
That's-
there you go. We were living it.
well, thank you for joining us in the podcast, The Purpose for Life, Pathway to a Vibrant, Purposeful, and Liberated Life. I have one last question, Anne. What do you
Okay.
think the purpose for life is?
To know myself as deeply as I can.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
righty. Till next time.